The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I grew up in high school. I went to the Mir Yeshiva, my father's alma mater, the yeshiva that made our family. And there in 10th grade was my challenging year in high school. It was a challenging year. It was a year that suddenly new friends, all different new changes. It was something that at the time I was finding difficult to get into learning. I had so much shtusim in my head at the time. So many things that I thought I wanted to do and I thought I wanted to be. So many things in the way of sports and other things that I wanted to try to excel in. And at the time, Torah was just not, at that time yet, a passion for me. The light bulb didn't go on yet. I remember that I was sitting in class, and my Rabbi, he gave out a test on 5 pages, 5 blot Gemara. I knew that I didn't know the test. But I sat there. After the Rebbe gave out the tests, I put my name on it. And after, I came up to the Rebbe and I handed him a blank piece of paper. My Rebbe said to me, Bensoussan, what is this? You didn't even fill out one answer. I said, yeah, Rebbe, I know. I didn't really have time. I really didn't have time to study for this bechina, this exam. He got so upset. And I looked at him like, what's the big deal? And I walked out of the class. Aye. A week later, the great tzaddik, Rabbi Segal, came to America. At that time, he was staying by somebody's house in Borough Park. My Rebbe decided that he's going to take the entire class out to Rabbi, and they're going to get birachot one at a time. He knew that just looking at Rabbi, he has the appearance of Mamish Malach Hashem Tzivakot. He knew that would make a roshem on us. So he took the whole class out that night to a house in Borough Park. And we all came and sat down together in some guy's living room, waiting to be admitted one by one into the study, where my Rebbe and Rabbi sat. Okay. So the first boy goes in. The doors close behind him. And we're waiting. 5-10 minutes, the boy doesn't come out. Everyone starts joking around. Wow, well, what's going on? Finally, after 15 minutes, the door's open. The boy comes out and his face is white. Mamash white. As if he saw a ghost. And we all looked at him. Oh no. And we gotta go in next. And at that point, everybody started fighting. No, you go in first. No, you go in first. No, I'm going last. And each one was pushing the other one. Till finally another guy went in. 5 minutes later, he also comes out white. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, what's going on? What is he telling them? Oh boy, and my Rebbe's in there. Oh boy, this is not going to be good, I said to myself. I'm not going in. I am not going in. But then when the doors opened again, and the line started to dwindle, and it started to move a little quicker, my turn came. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I picked myself up, and I walked into the room. And there sitting by the desk, with the light on his face, sat the great tzaddik Rabbi Segal Shalita. And my Rebbe sat next to him. I saw my Rebbe, when he saw me walk in, he had this little smirk of a smile. My Rebbe turned to Rabbi, and he said, Rabbi, this is Duvi Bensoussan. I walked up to Rabbi. I kissed his hand, Shalom Aleichem. And when I looked at his face, my knees started to knock, and I was shaking. I looked at the tzaddik's face. I don't know what hit me at that moment, but it was a moment that mamash would change my life. It was at that minute that Reb Don sticks his hand out, and I take his hand, and he gives me a bracha. Bracha v'hatzlacha. You should be matzliach. A very generic bracha. At that minute, my Rebbe smiled to me and said, okay, you can go out now. I don't know what possessed me. I turned and I said, no, I'm not walking out. My Rebbe looked at me, please, Bensoussan, not here. Not now. Not in front of Reb Don, please. I looked at Reb Don and I said, Rebbe, I want a bracha. Reb Don looks at me, and with a broken Yiddish I told him, I want a bracha. I want a bracha that I should taste the sweetness of Torah. I want a bracha that I should taste the unbelievable sweetness of Torah. I want it to be sweet. I don't want it to be bitter to me. I want to love it and I want to learn it. I want to become something in Torah. Reb Don's eyes opened wide. My Rebbe, he practically fainted when those words he heard. Reb Don grabbed my hands with two hands, and he started to shake back and forth with his eyes closed. And he gave me a bracha for the sweetness of the love of learning, the sweetness of the love of learning Torah. And I was crying, such a cry. And I thanked him. And I walked out of that room at that moment. I grabbed that moment and I walked out a different person. Do you think that that's the end of the story? Well, from that day on, my learning was a different learning. My whole gefühl to learning, and clearly my fulfillment in learning was different. Oh, but some almost 7 years later, where now I'm already out of high school, out of Beis Medrash. I'm in Eretz Yisrael, in Yeshivat Yitri, in an Israeli yeshiva in Yerushalayim that I learned there for almost 7 years. And I heard, as I saw the petek on the wall, it was Rosh Chodesh Av, and on the wall there was a sign that said, today, the Tzaddik, the Gaon, Reb Don Segal, is coming to yeshiva in Bet Safafa, Yerushalayim, to give a shmooze for Rosh Chodesh Av. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, it's years later, Reb Don, I'll get to see him again. Reb Don comes in. Everybody gets up. He goes to the front, he delivers a shmooze that only Reb Don could deliver. And for those who've heard him, and who heard him by this recent Knessia of the internet, you understand what a Malach Hashem is. And he gave such a shmooze that, such a tremendous fire and brimstone of a shmooze. When he finished, as he was walking out of the Beis Medrash, and all the Bachrim were running up to shake his hand, I was taken by the shmooze. I stood on the side quietly. As he walked by me, he stopped. He turned to me and smiled, and he said to me, Shalom Aleichem Bensoussan. No, wie soll geht zu lernen? Oh, yeah. I couldn't believe it. It was 8 years later. Gedolim. That was a moment that doubly changed my life and my love for learning. And this is the gift of Matan Torah. Don't make the Kabbalah generic. Don't let it be, yes, it's beautiful, I'll get to it. Soon. I'm almost there. Don't push me. No. That commitment is not going to make Gedolim. That commitment is not going to make Talmidei Chacham. The commitment of Torah, of Gadlut, is the commitment of now, of dry, broad detail. What am I learning? Who am I learning with? Which Rebbe am I giving myself over to? What am I learning, and what's my time that I'm kovea itim, day by day? That's my time. That's the commitment. This is the gift we got. We should be zochet together to enjoy the sweetness, the mitikut of our wonderful Torah Kedosha. The greatest fulfillment in life is a feeling of fulfillment in learning. Be'ezat Hashem, we should all be zochet to our potential in learning. V'ten chelkeinu b'toratecha borei olam.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org